welcome to my allotment. I was recently nominated by, or tagged by Cliff on Castle Hill Garden to talk about my 5 favourite seeds to sow. This comes from Viv, from What Viv Did Next, whose channel I watch, and so thank you to Cliff. So yeah, my 5 favourite seeds to sow. I would like to start off actually by reiterating what Cliff said, in that although Viv was talking about vegetables, I believe, I'd like to start by saying, I have to say, the thing that probably gives my wife and I the most pleasure up here is picking fruit fresh from the plant or from the bush and eating it here. And it's an absolute joy. There's not much of it makes it home, and if it does, it tends to go in fresh fruit salads, and the black currants, which there are thousands of, goes in the fridge, and they go into smoothies right the way through the winter. So fruit really is the most pleasurable thing on the plot. However, vegetables come a very close second, and I'd start my list with peas. I don't think there's anything like picking a pod of peas off the plant and sticking them straight in your mouth and eating them raw. And indeed, if we can eat the vegetables raw, we do, because that's how you gain the most nutrition. That's what they were designed for. So peas, I think, without a shadow of a doubt. The only thing is, of course, it's just very difficult to grow such a quantity of peas that you can eat them in sort of conventional quantities. And I think we froze a bag or 2 last year. Other than that, they were eaten raw in salads. But they are truly beautiful, and as the cliche says, you haven't really tasted peas till you've eaten your own, or grown your own and eaten them fresh. Secondly, sweet corn. That goes in the same theme, that if you pick a cob off the plant, peel it and eat it up here, within a minute of it being alive, it is a true taste sensation, as Peter Kay says. It's absolutely wonderful, and there is nothing quite like it. So, and of course, sweet corn takes a long time to grow, and is very vulnerable to rats and mice, etc. But I've had quite a bit of success with it over the 2 years I've been growing, and Cheryl and I love it. And again, it goes raw on our salads, hopefully within an hour or 2 at the most of us picking it. Thirdly, in a completely different vein, is parsnips. I find, like most people, they're quite difficult to grow. They're certainly difficult to germinate. I've got some chitting in the airing cupboard now. I've got some in my greenhouse that did chit and are now in toilet roll inners. And last year I think I managed a grand total of half a dozen parsnips, but they were an absolute joy to eat in the depths of winter. Very nice. Needless to say, we don't eat those raw. So third is parsnips. Fourth, rather boringly, is leeks. I grew over 150 leeks last year. We didn't start eating them till late autumn, and they're all gone now, and they went in a soup. My wife makes a wonderful soup, leek and potato soup, and we had one every week right the way through the winter, and they stored in the ground. So there's nothing involved, there's nothing complicated, you don't need space at home. We left them in the ground, and the ground didn't freeze this winter. We had a very mild winter. And they were picked, taken home, cleaned, and went straight in the soups. So we really enjoyed those, and I've had instructions from the boss that we're to grow the same, if not more, this year. And then lastly, but certainly not least, and again rather boringly, is onions. Again, the reason is the same as the leeks. It's an absolute staple of our diet. It goes in absolutely every dish and every soup that Cheryl makes, and we grow them in a large quantity. And I watched Cliff's video on how to string them, and I thoroughly enjoy stringing them up, and we store them in the shed and the garage, and there's still some now from last year, and we're nearly into April, so you cannot go without onions on an allotment, and I'm growing at nearly 200 again this year. So they're my nominations. And I appreciate now, I understand the procedure is for me to nominate 3 other people. Unfortunately, being a bit of a newbie to this YouTube thing, there is no one that I'm aware of that I can nominate who's watching my videos yet, simply because I don't have the numbers. So I apologise for not passing this on, Viv and Cliff, but I will do in the future, should I be lucky enough to be nominated again. And that leads me into the last point I'd like to make, and that is to thank everybody who's watched my videos, and certainly all those that have subscribed. I've been overwhelmed by the speed of which people have watched, and the word gets out in the community. Again, most of that is thanks to Cliff's channel. So thank you to everyone that's watching them. I am trying to learn quickly and to make them slightly more interesting, and I will persevere with that. So thank you very much. I've had a question asking what these frames are. These frames are rather over-engineered, but they're simply frames for my garden peas to grow up. I plant them either side of each fence panel, and the peas make their way up the frames, and then I can get between to pick them. I spoke on a previous video about me being new to this, and I find it almost a childish thrill. Every morning and every evening I go into my greenhouse and the windowsill in the spare bedroom, and I study the trays of seeds that I've got hopefully growing, and it never ceases to thrill me when I see the first hint of something breaking through the soil. And I've got up here at the allotment this morning, and this is a tray of sweet peas, sweet pea mumsy, that I put in, and these will be grown here at the allotment and picked for cut flowers at home. And I don't know if you can see there, but the very first nodules are breaking through the soil. Such a tender plant, and yet they managed to break through the dry soil. They need water, and I'm thrilled. It's made my morning. Wonderful. Hard to believe that these are going to be 6 foot tall, and I'm going to be picking them like they're going out of fashion in a couple of months' time. An absolute thrill for me. Well, excuse the smoke as the Kelly kettle burns away, and thank you to my friend up here, Terry, for supplying the wood. That was a lovely present waiting for me by the shed this morning. Further to what I was saying earlier about seeing the seedlings come through, here's another joy. Perfect broad bean plants. Tempting fate, I know, because they're going out today, but not a single slug nipped hole in them. Beautiful looking plants, and that's a very special moment on the plot when things come together. I've been growing these in the greenhouse, then they've come up to the cold frames on the allotment. Meanwhile, the soil has slowly been warming, the weather is drying out, and it's a lovely day today. So the coming together of those two things, the plants are at just the right time, growing in there. Toilet roll inners, that today these are going in the ground. I've had the cold frame roof lifted about 10 inches for the last week, so that to me is them hardened off, and they're on their own from today. I think I'll put some thin canes in just to give them a little bit of support, because at this moment they are quite vulnerable. Yeah, wonderful moment. Looking forward to getting these in the ground. I'll show you that later. First, a brew. Well, there they are. My first planted bed. 25th of March, all the broad beans are in. Actually, I've got a few spare. I'm going to put them in somewhere. I'm not going to waste them. They're all staked, and some of them, the longer ones, I've got a tie on them. Good start. Right, cup of tea. I'll do some flowers now. Sowing some poppies around the pond. So, to make sure I know where they are, I've put these canes in, and I've dug a little, or screwed out a little shallow, so that I know the difference between the poppy seeds and weeds when they come up. And all I'm going to do, very finely, spread those in the drill. I've pre-watered the drill. That one is called Pandora. Came free with the Gardener's World. And this one is called Poppy Victoria Cross. So same again, pre-watered drill, and just scatter them lightly. And we shall see what happens. So the canes mark the spot. An allotment isn't all about vegetables. It's nice to have it looking nice as well. So to that end, I'm sowing some cosmos. It says on the packet an average of 50 seeds. We shall see. They don't need to go particularly deep. So I'll place these in some proprietary seed compost. Give them a good water. We'll see how they go. Okay, that's filled all the pots. Giving them a light covering. Don't want to be too deep. Give them all a drink. Put them in the cold frame and let them do their thing. Okay, and of course, never forget the label. Job done. Okay, next job, I don't know if you can see these, I've got some Lolo Rossa and some little gem lettuce that I planted on the 5th of March, sowed on the 5th of March. The little gem are quite weak, but the Lolo Rossa seem to be much stronger at germination. So I'm going to pot some up, and then I'm going to put some in a piece of guttering on the back of this wind shelter here and see how they get on. The theory being that they're well away from the slugs. So I've got some ordinary proprietary compost here, and I'm going to pot up a tray of each. Of course, as everyone says, holding them by the leaf. Okay, so they're done. They can go in the cold frame now, out of the direct sunlight hopefully. So this is my stroke of genius, he says, tongue in cheek. I'm just going to put all the rest of these remaining lettuce in a random order. I'm not going to label them because by the time they grow it will be obvious which ones are the little gem and the Lolo Rossa. So let's just get them in. Don't go in for all that anti-slug pellets, copper tape, eggshells. Stick your stuff 6 feet in the air, that's the way to get rid of them. Now we find out if my bracket's strong enough to withstand the weight of water. So far so good. If it had fallen off I would have edited it out anyway. Well, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing if you have, and I shall see you next week. Bye for now.